everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to the first video of the March hashtag event. The hashtag for this month's event is CAC Fantasy Art. So once you're done watching this video, go back up into the search bar and type in that hashtag and you will find a bunch of different videos from artists who dabble in all kinds of media, and you'll be able to see what their interpretation of the fantasy art is. So for this first project, I am going to be making a 2-page art journal, and this is all done with Cricut cuts. We're going to be using a couple other things. We're going to be using some mediums to add depth and dimension and give it a little bit more of a realistic feel. Now I've cut out all of these pieces and I've put all of them together and I've done the embellishing. So the first video in this series is just going to be showing you those pieces and showing you what I did to make them look dimensional, and then tomorrow or whenever I get around to uploading the next video, you're going to see the page put together. So now I've cut out all of those pieces with the exception of the blue background. We're going to do something with that. So let's go over to my craft table and I will show you guys what I've done so far. So here are all the Cricut cuts, and I just wanted to show you guys what I did with them to dress them up a little bit. The cuts themselves are really cute when they're done, but I think that sometimes going the extra mile and just doing a little bit more to it makes it stand out a little bit. And I know this is fantasy, so you can kind of do whatever you want, so I took a little bit of liberty with the things because it is a fantasy spread. It's a little bit more childlike. I haven't really found the style of art journaling that I like, so I'm just trying out a bunch of different things, and this is a great way. Participating in the monthly hashtag events is a great way to do that because I get to explore different themes and try different ideas that I have out onto my art journal, which is actually the whole purpose of an art journal. So I'm going to show you the cuts one by one and tell you what I did with them. So this is the unicorn cut. And I'm trying to show you there you go, the shine on the wing and on the horn for the unicorn. So this piece has 4 different cuts on it. It has the back layer of the pink, then there's a darker pink for the wing and the horn, the white piece, and then there's a little black eye there. So what I did was I put some glossy accents on the front wing and the horn so that it makes it almost look like a sticker. It has a really, really cool effect to it. It's really shiny and like spark glossy, obviously for glossy accents. And it just gives a really, really cool impression in person. I also did it for her hooves. So there you can see when it catches the light, it really gives a cool effect. And a lot of this stuff is more impressive in person. So around the outside of the white, I used some pumice stone, which I used on some other things in this project, just because there is no white distress ink, and I just wanted to give a little bit of definition around the edges. I took a white gel pen and put a dot in the eye, and you won't believe how much that little white dot makes a complete difference. It looked like such a different unicorn once I did that. So that was what I did with the pieces. I went around with a little bit of picked raspberry distress ink, which is like a bright pink, around the outside edges of the unicorn as well. So you have that piece. And then you have the frog, which is very similar to what I did before. So you can see on the heart there's glossy accents. I put white dots in both of his eyes. I also went around the outside of the crown with some scattered straw, which is, mustard seed, which is a darker, not so bright yellow color. And then I also took a gold gel pen, and because the distress ink was on top of it, it didn't soak into the paper, so actually the pen just kind of sat on top of it. So I just wiped it off with my fingers, and that actually caused a little bit to add some gold streaks to it, which makes it look really cool. So there's the frog. He's all done. For the princess, I did a couple different things. One, I went around the edges again with some mustard seed. I did that on the crown. I also added some of the rusty hinge orange because I wanted to give it like a little bit of a darker yellow rather than just the mustard seed. Went around her hair with the mustard seed. Went around her dress with, again, the same picked raspberry. And I also used the picked raspberry with a stencil to get the dots on her dress. Now, that gives it a little bit more interest and depth and dimension. I also went around the edges of her white belt to do the same thing. I used the googly eyes on her face because this, again, is a more childlike fantasy art journal page. And the way I got this cut is there's a flesh-colored cut that cuts out the mouth and the eyes. I hid that layer, and then I just did the very bottom layer, which will be the black outline base layer. I used that layer to cut out the skin tone. And then glued the googly eyes down, and I also added a jewel to her crown, again for just a little bit more interest. This is probably my absolute favorite piece. This is the Walkway, and I cut it out in several different pieces. So the backing is white. I could have cut this out in black, but I didn't know that I wanted to do this effect until much later. So it's supposed to be, these pieces are just supposed to be whatever color this background is. So it is white, but I wanted something to go and I could actually attach these black pieces to. So I cut the piece out again in black. Went around the edges with pumice stone to give it a little bit of shading. Inserted all these pieces, which is called paper piecing. I used a Zig 2A glue pen, put the glue down. I used my pick-me-up tool and just put the pieces into place. This just has a little bit of that like silly putty on the end of it so you can pick things up and put them into place. And then I used my black Stella pen. So let me show you what that looks like. And it gives this really, really cool sparkly effect. So I thought for a princess, this is definitely something that a princess would want. The more shine and sparkle, the better for the princesses. So I thought that came out really, really great. I had an idea in my mind, and it came out better than what I thought it would be. And then comes the castle. So this, I decided to use some stencils on as well, and some Stella. I cut this top layer out in white. So this piece, these three pieces here, and these hearts were all in white. I took some spun sugar distress ink, which is a really, really pale pink, and I took this stencil, and I believe this is from My Favorite Things. I placed it over the pieces, and then I took my ink blending tool and just inked over top of it until I got the brick surface on there. I think that gives it a really cool dimensional look. And I was really happy with the way it came out. Again, it's fantasy, so you can have your castle be whatever color you wanted, but I really happened to like the pink. And then I went back in with a white Stella pen and just colored in the windows, the hearts, just to give it, again, a little bit more shine. I did the hearts. These were all white, and I just kind of took the ink blending tool and smushed it down over top of the hearts just to give it a little bit of color so that they match the brick. So the last thing that I did, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this on camera because every once in a while you can just catch it in the right light in person. So this probably will be really, really difficult to see. But I took some distress ink in Shabby Shutters, which I don't know if I mentioned or not. I went around the frog in this as well. And this is a really light distress ink, but when you put it on the dark paper, it gives a dark shadow. It makes the paper darker, so it's a dark shadow. There you can see it there. And I just kind of went around and highlighted pieces, and when you look at it, it really does give it dimension in person. So these pieces are going to actually be glued on top of each other, and then the distressed ink, there you go, you can kind of see right there. The distress ink actually helps it too to give it more dimension. So these pieces are super cool. They came out really well. The last pieces I want to show you are these clouds. And I haven't done anything with them. I'm going to run distress ink around them. But I want to see how the sky comes out first before I do that. I don't know if I want to go around them in pumice stone to give them a little bit of a gray color, or if I want to go find like a darker blue or something to go around. So I want to see the sky first. So that is, I cut out 3 of those clouds. So the picture that you saw in the very beginning is how I envision this coming together. So we will see what happens when it actually starts to come together. So maybe we can compare what it turns out to be to what the original idea came from. Originally from this, I was just going to cut out 1 or 2 pieces. It wasn't going to be the whole entire thing. And then I started putting it together and I thought, you know what, I have the Cricut out, let me just cut out a ton of pieces. So I'm really happy with the way the things turned out. I really love how Distress Ink adds Distress Ink is such a versatile tool. People often ask, what are some of the things that you need when you start to craft and do scrapbooking and do art journaling, even doing cards and things? Probably one of my top 10 are Distress Inks. You can watercolor with these, you can stamp with these, you can do all kinds of technique. They react with water, so you can do all different kinds of things with them. There's so many properties that these have that you can use in so many different ways. So these Distress Inks, if you guys don't know what they are absolutely fantastic. It's one of my must-haves, and I think I have almost every color that's out there because I love them so much, and I do tend to use them. They are one of my most used supplies. So I know that was off on a little bit of a tangent, but I am going to be working on the background, so in the next video you will see what I've come up with, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below, and if you want to see all kinds of art projects from artists who dabble in different mediums, please go and search in the search bar, type in CAC Fantasy Art, and you will see paintings and drawings and things that I probably couldn't even imagine. Cards, scrapbook pages, art journaling pages, canvases, any kind of art medium you could possibly think of is pretty much out there. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in part 2 of this video.